All right, Kenman here, and today it's microjets. Got to get back to this attempt at a swap custom that failed and complete this one and get it back to its rightful owner. If you don't know, this is a Tempest Knives Microjet. Here's the Ultim version. 154 cm on the blade steel on all of these. The Ultim one has the black blade on it. And I actually won this on the Tempest, actually the Knives Fast channel. He does giveaways every Monday, and I was lucky enough to win that one. I had already purchased my titanium one. I anodized this myself. I like to do a lot of custom stuff on the channel. So I anodized it kind of a two-tone. Really cool that when he made this, he had all the hardware, the screws, the pivot, the back spacer, the little spacer, and the clip. All is also titanium, so you can anodize a two-tone here if you want, like this. Pretty happy with it. This is a great knife, great user. One of my favorite knives I picked up last year. So the fact that I had two of them was really cool. But I kind of like the way a silver blade looks with Ultim, because the black blade, when it's in there, it's black on black. You can't really see anything. But if there was a silver blade in there, you can see the blade when it's in there. So you're getting that contrast of color. And it just has a cool kind of look to it. So I found Eric wanted to do a swap. He got this one with the blue titanium. And he was like, yeah, I'll swap your blades. So we're going to put my black blade on his and his silver blade on mine. Call it a day. Long story short, the Ultim version has a different liner setup than the titanium version does. I'm trying to be careful with these, keep them nice and clean. But this part right here basically is not quite the same on the Ultim as it is on the titanium. So the blades didn't work, the lockup didn't work right. It wasn't a safe knife. So we had to end up swapping back. Upon doing so, I started doing acid etching on blades. And he had said, hey, well, why don't you go for it on this blade here? So I swapped mine back. I got my microjets right here, but we're going to take his, try to acid etch this blade, darken it up. It's not going to be black like this, because this is not an acid etch. It's a different, I'm not sure exactly, like a PVD coating. I believe that's what that is. So that's a different type of coating on the blade. We are actually going to do an acid etch to this one right here today. So let's get to it. I already have it apart and ready to go. So what I did is I took the blade, I put gloves on, and I wiped it down with some acetone to clean it up really good. So there's no little fingerprints or marks. We want a nice clean surface so it takes a nice even acid etch. So now we also don't want the etch to go on the moving parts where the pivot is. So what I need to do now is put a resist on there. I've been using a fingernail polish. Basically, we're going to put a polish on that section around the pivot, and then we'll be ready to do the acid etch. So I'm going to do that now. Sometimes it takes several minutes and it gets kind of monotonous and boring, so I'm going to high speed through that. But what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to basically coat around inside the pivot, but I'm going to look at these here and use them as a reference, because we don't want any of that coating or the resisted area to show up when it's open or closed, because then you would kind of see where the black kind of ends and it's kind of that resisted area. So I'm going to look at where the flipper tab is, where it comes around here. Pay attention to that when I'm putting this on here, so that I try to just get it over the area that we need the resist on. I'm going to put a glove on so when I'm holding it, I don't put any more fingerprints on it. And if I do, we'll just have to clean it off again afterwards. But now I'm going to go ahead and put that polish on there, and then we'll get to it. I believe the fingernail polish is now dry. And a little trick I found is when it is dry, you can take a toothpick like this, and if you have a little area you need to bring back a little bit, I don't know how well you can see that, maybe if I zoom in, you can get in here and use the toothpick to scratch Try not to touch the line. And you can actually remove some if you feel like you went a little too far in one spot. See that? I don't know how well that's showing up. Trying to focus here. And you can kind of clean up. See how it kind of flakes off? So if I want it a little bit higher up there, make sure I'm not going too far down. Don't want any of it to show. But all those little specks, you want to make sure you get those off as well, because those will just sit right where they are, and that would be a resist. So you want to make sure you wipe them all away. That right there. And I'll wipe that off on the glove and kind of come around here. Try to get off all those little specks that I just created. But now I've got it all covered up around where you can see that line where the detent rolls around it, so you know all of that is underneath excuse me, the hidden sections. A little bit right there. Okay. Can't get it from that angle. Here we are. Sorry if I'm off camera here a little bit. And there we go. All right. So now I think we're pretty much clean. I think I did bump it when I was holding it like this right there. So I'm going to take my clean cloth, kind of get in here, just give it an extra wipe, make sure it's nice and clean, no marks. All right, so now we have that area resisted off, all the spots that are going to be touching something. Grab this right here. Actually, I do. Is that going to matter or not? I'm wondering if I need to resist that little spot right there, the spot where it hits the stop pin. It comes around. Or not where it hits the stop pin, I mean where it's going to be touching against the lock bar. It sits right on that right there. So I think I'm actually going to put a little dab over that and resist that spot as well. We don't want that to change. We want it to hit that lock bar the same. So I'm going to get on here, just go right over that little square. Oop. All right, and then we're going to let that dry, and then we can go on to the acid etch and actually get this thing rocking and roll. So we'll be back in just a sec. I have the blade all clean and coated and tied to this string. I am now going to take my mixture and drop it in. There it is. This is basically ferric chloride and apple cider vinegar. I mixed it up about 50-50, so now we have it in there. It is down and coated. Looks like it's on there nice and even. So the only thing left to do is wait. I'm going to let this sit for probably 20 minutes. This is 154 cm. I have done that before. Let me grab it. Boom. This is the Kaiser Aggressor, I think. Yeah. But this is also 154 cm, and that was in for about 20 minutes. Give us a nice dark even coat. So that's the number I'm going to go by here. I've got it set. We're going to let this sit, and then we'll rinse it off and see how we did. I removed it and rinsed off the ferric chloride. Now we're going to wash this off with acetone, clean it up, get rid of all the fingernail polish and see what our final result is. Here we go. It turned out a little kind of splotchy. Every time you do this, if I touch it, it kind of leaves little marks on it, but it's pretty even for the most part. I did notice on this side we did get a little line kind of across there. Nothing you can really do about that. I guess we live and learn. I hope he likes it. I did also notice on the top there's a little worn, come on, focus, area right here where it didn't really take either. A couple little spots right there. If anyone has any suggestions to learn more. I did also notice it is a nice even coat on the inside. When you look at it at certain angles, it kind of gets lighter, like that right there, but it is actually a solid even coat. It's just kind of deceiving in a way, but I'm full disclosure, you know, I'm not a professional. I'm trying to learn every time. But that little spot right there, I'm not sure why it didn't take on the top. And then, you know, how to prevent, I didn't really see that line when we cleaned it up. But the spots that we did, you can see the difference from the resisted area on the pivot and that little back piece. So we're going to put this back together. I'm going to put some gloves on and we'll high-speed time lapse it to speed through it real quick, and then we'll talk about it, check it out after it's done. But I'm going to wear gloves because these titanium scales are still pretty pristine here, so I want to send it to them nice and clean, and let's do it. Well, there we have it, completed. It's going to keep the glove on, try to keep this titanium looking nice. What do we think? Fun little project, darkened it up, definitely a unique look. Didn't notice any of the masking as you open and close it. Did a clean job on that right there, just enough to cover everything else up. Action seems to be good, drops right down. Comment below any tips, thoughts, ideas. I even put the little pocket clip protector back on there. Keep it as fresh as possible. We'll get it sent out to him, see what he thinks. Fun little project. I can't wait to do some more acid etching. I need to practice, kind of keep going with it, see what I can learn, how I can advance, what masking type of ideas that we can come up with. I'm excited for it. Stay sharp. See you soon.